Hey, Karen.
Hey there, how are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, delightful. Just, playing some catch up and really getting to understand, divs and classes and yeah, I'm just playing catch up, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well to answer your question. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Okay. Um, Anywhere I can help you?
Well, I'm at a point where what was really kind of tripping me up one time was until I had to rewatch the video was I kept getting these weird squigglies on my weather app. I got a
Okay.
weird squiggly, but the video mentioned that I had to rewatch it and take a look at the transcript. The video mentioned that to open up my index, to open up VS Code, I have to go to the actual file I have to go like from the beginning.
You have to open the folder that the index
Oh,
is in.
yes. Yes.
Yes.
I just opened up the index. So I saw like everything was kind of misaligned and just not looking good. So I noticed that that's what it was. And I said, oh, well, this is great. And then everything after that has been like awesome. So now just kind of copying and pasting and understanding and, divs and classes and, that kind of thing. So it's looking good. It's looking good.
Cool. So I would just say you probably wanna push yourself on the speed to a point where you're not comfortable
Okay.
because you are having total understanding of HTML is holding you back
Yes.
from getting to JavaScript. This
Yes.
is boot camp speed, right? We're going into week 11 and you just finished week 2.
Yeah, it's really just horrific. I want to understand it completely and I'm just
You can't be at that perfection level. You got to
okay.
just there is and that's a common thing for students, right? Of just wanting to do the deep dive and wanting to understand it, but it's a rabbit hole that you can fall down. Right? There's always a deeper level of understanding that you can reach. Oh, well, how does the browser know what the div is? Well, how does the browser parse out that information? Oh, well, how does like there's always another level of technicality that you need to say, I've got 6 months to cram in a 4-year college education. And now we're almost an entire module behind.
Yes.
And so it's like when Ryan comes in tomorrow and starts teaching APIs, it's going to go right over your head because you're behind on the JavaScript. So
Yes.
I would say, like, drop all the HTML stuff. If you've got weather app working, move on.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
right to JavaScript. Watch the first week is going to be most important, and then just build the projects. And
Okay.
if you can build the project, say, do I understand the code in this project and this project alone?
Okay.
If you can go through that code and say, I understand how the movie theater app is working, I understand how tic-tac-toe is working, that's the level of understanding we want, right? Not that super deep, I need to understand every letter of this JavaScript, I need to understand the runtime engine, I need to forget all of that. Do I understand this project? If you can get to that level, I think you'll be okay.
Okay. So this is okay. I will. Let me share my screen. Where's my second screen?
Hey, Jennifer.
Hey there, Jennifer. So this is where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, it looks great. This looks wonderful. But I'm like, I'm watching the days. I'm like, okay, copy, paste. I want all the days. But can I move on from this?
Yep, move on.
Okay. You don't have to tell me twice. Okay. Perfect.
The other thing you're going to find is sometimes you may find that you love JavaScript more than HTML. And you may find that you can learn JavaScript because it makes more sense than HTML,
Right,
right?
right.
HTML is a very structured way of making something visual in a non-visual way,
Yes.
right? That is a totally different mindset than, hey, the computer is running this line of code. What is this line of code doing? right? In HTML, yes, there are lines of code, and yes, we can look at a div. But when you look at a closing div, you're not like, oh, this line of code does this specific thing. You're just like, oh, this is just the structure of it all, right? In JavaScript, it's very much line by line, word by word. What is this doing?
Script, okay.
And so that shift may be what you need to pick up the speed a little bit.
Okay, okay, perfect. All right, I'm gonna do my boxes and I'm gonna submit. Okay.
Jennifer, any questions? Sorry, I caught you mid-sip.
Perfect.
You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, fine. I'm always fiddly during meetings or class. I always feel like I need something to snack on or sip on.
Mine is usually whatever I can find around my desk. It happens to be a piece of paper from some packaging of something, and I'm just fiddling away down here.
Yeah, I don't know. It just calms my nerves or something.
Normally, like all the fidget stuff you can buy with the spinners and all of that, don't use any of them. And then I'll have like an old rubber band on my desk, and that will be my entertainment for the month.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Or I'll be like scribbling down my paper and whatever. Yeah, there's definitely stuff to talk about. I've got, I think, 3 pages of my capstone written in HTML.
Okay.
I should have more, but it's going pretty quickly because I did the grid.
Okay.
The longest, and now I'm just going in and popping in the information. Not too difficult. So that should
I
come
would
up.
say quality over quantity for tomorrow's check-in.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right? We want to feel comfortable about what you have written, because once you do have it written, all the rest of the pages are pretty easy. So
Yeah.
I would rather see one page that is like, you know, you shed a tear every time you look at it because it's so perfect. And then you can go and replicate all of that out.
Yeah, sounds good. I have to make it pretty then. It doesn't have any styling done, but it'll
But the getting the structure down is the hard part, right? The styling actually is a lot easier, because then you know what you want the style to be. It's the structure that's definitely the hard part. So you're over the hump.
it is. It's tricky. I'm good there. I'm still plodding through Code Camp.
Okay.
Really the logic and the math is what gets me a little tripped up. I just don't think that way yet. So I'm still trying to understand what they're asking us to do in a checklist. And I look at the YouTube video, and it's going along and he's going along, and I'm like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, and this is how that originates and what I'll get as a result. And then he goes, okay, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, that's what? Like, it's done, but I'm not entirely sure how or why, what that was.
So the approach that you've been doing in class with comments, pursue that in free code camp as well.
Oh, okay.
So go line by line and say, okay, I know I got the big black check mark and everything's checked off and I'm done with this challenge. Before you move on, try and go back and add your comments in and make sure that you understand line by line what's happening.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Now they may not save, but they will save in your head, right? Of just that understanding, writing it out, typing it out will help. And the other thing, you mentioned you're a doodler. They've done studies to show that your memory actually retains information better if a student is actively doodling. So you may want to find, instead of commenting it with your double slash and writing in your comment, what you may want to do is just go to your notebook and write out that line of code, then write a little explanation beneath it.
Yeah, that's a good thing to try. I don't know if this will translate yet, but I fell asleep a few nights ago listening to my wife, like watching videos for her nursing school
Yep.
of procedures. And I woke up the next morning and she's going through a practice scenario. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I just start telling her what she's doing and what more she has to do. And I was like, I guess I learned that last night in my sleep, or I remembered it anyway. I'm hoping I could try that with coding.
Don't leave me on overnight. You'll have nightmares.
Well, I'll do whatever I have to do to understand this. That's for sure. That is for sure. So,
Oh, sorry.
no, go for it.
Max, quick question.
Yeah.
I'm previewing this. How do we get a box on our preview? How do we get a box around our preview document?
Like a red box to do the gridding out.
Yes.
It's a little annotate icon in preview.
Yes. With a
Um,
pencil and a.
Yep.
Okay. Oh.
And then that gives you the next row, and then you can click on the shape from there. There's like a rectangle and a circle on top of each other. I'm going to share your screen and I can draw on it to show you.
Yes.
Yeah, Jennifer, I know a lot. I know like Xona is going through and she's doing free code camp so slow because she's taking every note, right? Like, what did I learn from this problem? And it takes forever to get through all of that, but she's understanding it, right? And that goes back to quality over quantity, right? Yeah, it's great if you can get through all of free code camp, but is it actually soaking in? And if it's not, what method can you use to get it to soak in? Is it printing out the code and drawing on it to make it more visual? Is it, writing it down in a spiral bound notebook and getting those concepts? Is it flashcards? Some people learn from flashcards. Some people say, I need to take a step back and write out a list of all of these concepts and then let me do a definition for all of those concepts, right? Like it's really your personal learning style that will, that it all boils down to.
Okay. Yeah, I think the commenting has helped me so far.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll keep working with that.
Okay. Jennifer, clearly I am a Virgo. Thinking about this way too, this whole perfectionist nonsense is really holding me back. I'm holding me back. Thank you. Thank you.
Right? This is so important to us.
Oh gosh. And of course, here I am like, all right, students, you got to do your roller sets properly because, and I always say, do it nice or do it twice. And so here I am. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Max. Oh.
No problem.
Okay.
Just think about that as a positive quality.
You're right. You're right. You're right. It's a positive quality, but let me tell you, I'm hard on my kids. I am so, and I'm realizing that I'm hard on them. They're almost to a point where they're like, oh, we don't want to show Miss Ritchie. We want to ask the other cosmetology teacher because she's, she's a little softer. She's a little gentler. And of course, and here I am like, you're in 11th grade. It shouldn't look like that. Who taught you that? I didn't do that. So thank you, Max, for not doing that. Thank you.
No, I'd rather have honesty than sunshine and pink fluffy clouds. Oh gosh. I'm opening up maybe somewhere. Just don't know where to put it. I think there it is. So I was just opening up my JavaScript. Now I have to share my screen. Oh my goodness. I really want more than one screen. I was working on the gridding and I was working on the HTML, and I'm like, I need 3 giant screens for this.
Ryan just asked, Ryan is coming in as your teacher tomorrow. And he was like, so what kind of hardware setups do the students have? And I'm like, this year we were smart enough to make sure every one of them got a monitor.
So amazing. Like, I don't know how to deal without and that other one.
Cohort 3 managed to get through without it, as did cohort 2, but cohort 3 was our first kind of more hybrid one.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, like halfway through the program, the people who were showing up in person had portable monitors. And then I looked at them and I'm like, I need one of those. It's hard to teach off of one monitor. And then all of a sudden the jealousy spread and you started to see like everyone was using their stipend to buy a portable monitor.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it was like, all right, hold on. We save enough money off sales tax. We can reallocate budget to make sure everyone gets a monitor.
Oh, this is so good. Yeah, now I want a bunch of gadgets. I want
Oh,
this Raspberry Pi.
absolutely.
I want that, I don't know what it is from B&M that Exona put out there, or Naj put out there.
Let me tell you, I bought this fancy mouse, which I love. I bought a dual monitor stand. That's why I'm like elevated like this. So I have one that holds the laptop, one for the monitor. I have a keyboard that's wireless, so that way I don't have to like do this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My mom was like, what's going on in here? This is like the dungeon. Like it's incredible. So it's like really addicting. It's really addicting.
Whenever I have it, and it builds over time. You don't need to kind of rush to that, right? Like
Right.
it took me years to build up to the setup that I have.
Yes.
But I know whenever I have contractors over, they're like, what do you do for a living? Because I got two 28-inch monitors. And they're like, what do you do? And like, I'm a programmer. They're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I work for the NSA.
Right.
I do know someone who does,
Wow.
but I cannot disclose their name.
No.
Right. As long as they're not a threat to homeland security.
Mhm.
All right, Jennifer, what can we help you with here?
I understand the record collection, even if I can't yet do it.
Record collection, borderlining on one of the hardest, right? Because it's syntactically, it's not complex, but it's very surgically peeling back the layers of the onion that make it a lot harder.
Yeah, but I understand what it is has to happen. If it doesn't have a value, get rid of the property and the ID. Right? Push a value onto something, onto the array. That was good. I got a little stuck. Let's see, iterate, while loops, for loops, odd numbers, counting backwards. Okay. I think I started to get a little slowed down with iterating through an array with a for loop.
Okay, let's take a look.
That one.
Okay, so this is kind of like the manual way of a for of loop, right? So in our for of loop, we would do something like, let me collapse that. Okay, so we would do something like for let.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to like minimize the Zoom screen. There we go. Okay.
We would do something like for let num of my ARR, and then we could do console log num, and that gives us all of our numbers here, right? So this is kind of the automated way of saying, go through every item in this array and store it in num, and then every time this loop runs, console log out whatever number in the loop we are on. But this is the newer, more modern, quicker way of doing it. The old school way of writing a for loop, which still has time and place, is for let I equals 0. Start and index 0. And while the I is less than the my array dot length.
Which is the number of numbers in the array. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we need to tell it how many times do we want this loop. How do we want this loop to increment every time we go through it? And what we're going to do is we're going to say I plus plus.
So increment could be I plus plus by 2, or
We could say I plus equals 2.
so that it would go in even depending on where we started.
Correct. It would print out 2, 4, and 6 and skip over 3 and 5.
Right. Okay.
So we're going to say we want every number inside of it. And then if we console log out I, we're going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that isn't 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's happening there is we're getting the index of what we're iterating over. We're not getting the number itself.
Oh.
Right. So we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, why? We start at 0 and we add 1 to it every time the loop runs.
Okay.
So if we wanted to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what we would do, like, you know, we have if we wanted to get the number 3 out, we would do console.log my ARR bracket 1. Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we would access so we kind of combine the I with this syntax and say, go get me my array and whatever index we're on in the loop. And now we get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That helps knowing it was the index and not the number.
And so now all we need to do is initialize the variable that starts at 0. Then take the total and make the total equal to whatever the current total is plus my array index I.
So does that mean we're adding up all the existing numbers, but then we're increasing it by 1 so that when we're done, like it wasn't just adding the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but it was also adding.
Separate it out here. Total is only taking 2 and adding it to the total. So the first time this loop runs, total is 2. Why? Because I started at 0. So we take 0, we put it in my ARR. My array at index 0 is 2. So this whole thing equals 2. Total is equal to 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So store that in the total. Total is now equal to 2. Now we come down here, we hit this curly brace, and we say, okay, how do we need to increment I? We need to add 1 onto I. Is 1 less than the length of the array, which is 5?
Is 1 less than the, yes.
Okay, so we come back in here and we say, okay, now our total was 2 from the last time the loop ran, and we need to add 2 onto my array I. What is I equal to the second time this loop runs?
3, because 0.
What is I equal to?
I is equal to index 2. No, index 1.
1. I is equal to 1. So writing this is the same thing as writing the second time the loop runs. Okay, so you said it was 1. 1 goes up and it gets 3. 3 is now what this whole thing equals. 2 is what our total was from the last time the loop ran. So now our total is 5.
Right.
Okay, now we come up, what's our I equal to the third time the loop runs?
So it was 5.
Mm-mm.
No, sorry, where did I lose it?
The total was 5. What is I equal to?
8.
Nope.
Oh God, the total was 5 and
Total 8. The total is going to be 8 the next time the loop runs. But what is I equal to?
a new index number.
Yes, which is
0, 1, 2.
2. So now we go, I is 2. Go get the second index, that's 4. This whole thing is 4. This was equal to 5 the last time the array ran.
Mhm.
So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 is now the total. We can prove this by not only logging out I, but we can also log out the total, and we can even log out my array index I. Okay, I, every time the loop runs, goes up by 1. This is our I column.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to actually flip these 2 around. Be easier to understand. Now, what is the index at 0? It's 2.
Oh,
What is the index at 3? It's equal to 5. How do we know that? 0, 1, 2, 3.
wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, this is so much more than I thought it was.
And so what we can also keep track of is, remember, I'm pushing you here to do your code tracing, right? So understanding, okay, the first time this runs, the number is 2, and the total starts out at 0. The next time this runs, the total was 2. We go to index 1, which gets number 3, and adds it to the total, which makes the total now 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we get index 2. That number is 4. We say 4 plus 5, and that gives us 9.
Yeah.
Now we get the third index, and we say 9 plus 5, and that gives us 14.
Okay. I can see that now. I can understand how that's working.
So now at the end of all of this, we can console log out our total and say it's 20. Well, that's really easy for us to say because we can just say 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 equals 20. But what we have to tell the computer to do is go through every index of the array, use that index to get the number out of the array, then add that to whatever the current total is and store it in total. So every time we run this loop, we're using not only I, but the index in the array of I and whatever the current total is. So that's when this console log is really helpful, because you can look at this and be like, this is 2 lines of code. But when you can see the visual of everything the computer is doing, it becomes much easier to recognize that I is going up by 1 every time. And because it is, we're getting each of the numbers from the array. And because of that, our total is increasing every time we add to it.
Okay. I guess.
Now, what would be really embarrassing is if this didn't pass. Okay.
So here's a question. As long as I is less than the array length, which is 5, then do this. 1, 2, 3.
We start at 0. We don't start at 1. Arrays are 0 indexed. So we start at 0, and then we go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all 6 numbers.
So as long as the index is less than that number.
Right. So the last time I runs, it's 5
Got it.
because
Okay.
6 is not less than 6. Well, that if it's 5, we only ran over 5 numbers, right?
Mhm.
No, we actually ran over all 6 of them because we started at 0 and then said 1, 2, 3, 1, 0, which is the first number. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense to me. My concern, Max, is that makes sense to me now, but I have a hard time remembering what to write.
So then what I would do is I would write out this console log, and I would write out on your paper, make a little table with 3 columns and make the first column I, right? And label it, make the next column my array I, and then make the next column total.
Yeah.
Then write out each one of these rows into your notes.
Okay. And how soon do you think this video could be up and available?
It normally takes like a half hour to process an hour long video, so we'll be up at like 7-ish.
Okay, great, because then I can take notes as I rewatch this part.
Sure.
Okay, that's really great.
Having a hard time trying to copy and paste, the code that you put in live stream and put it in my index.html file. Is there how do I do that?
Exona, did you have any questions before I?
No, I just wanted to walk through my homework 10.
Okay. Let me answer Karen's question and then I'll come back to you. Karen, go ahead and share your screen.
We can also, are you having a hard time copying it, Karen?
I'm hitting copy, but it's not, let me see if I can share my screen. I hit copy this code block, but then when I'm putting it into my HTML or my index.
Maybe if we put it in the chat here and then she can copy it that way, maybe that would be different.
No, I want to make sure that she can copy it from the live stream because there's a lot of code in there.
Okay.
And she's working on older stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Don't mean to.
Oh, no.
Insert myself.
No problem. Okay, I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay.
So right click on that and hit copy this code block. Then go over to your VS Code and edit paste or right click paste.
Oh my gosh. Well, a second ago, it wasn't doing that. It was just putting another. All right, I'm going to just be quiet. Thank you.
No problem.
I need a whole nother degree to copy and paste.
Yeah.
All right, go for it, Exona.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind.
Yep. And you'll be glad to know I briefed Ryan coming in tomorrow on your name pronunciation. So he can struggle like I struggle.
He did not?
No, I sent him I've got a little sticky of all the names and I tried to break it down for him, which is the sticky's based off of the assignment, the form that you guys submitted. So
that's cute. That's
fingers crossed.
It's okay. Even if he messes up, I'll tell him. I'll tell him what
it only took like 9 or 10 times of you telling me I was doing it wrong for me to get it. So you know what? We made it there. We got there.
We did. It was like week 3, I think. Yeah, but it's okay. It happens. So I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, just kind of briefly talk about the comments that I have on code on my code for homework 10. I didn't see it online. I don't know if you posted them for homework 10 or 9.
I've been bad. I need to do that. But you're good. You're already on the right track.
I started. I got homework 9 done. Thank God. Okay. I was so stressing yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I'll take the 2. It's not the best. I'll take the 2. But I wanted to go briefly on it. So this is based off of what the computer will run.
Yep.
First the computer will look, it looks at index.html.
Yep.
And then it reads the HTML tags.
Yep.
Tags body and build the page. Okay.
Yep.
Then we go into this code, which reads, the computer will read this a line of code, pulling the file from Bootstrap, because this is a Bootstrap source.
Yep. The only thing
for-
that I would add to number 2 is like reads the HTML body and builds the page with a loading message. Right?
Okay.
Because we haven't actually built the HTML at that step. All we're
Mhm.
doing is saying, hey, we're going to put up the loading message because we still need to generate out the HTML.
Gotcha. Okay. And I didn't put anything on here because this is just things that you would put, honestly.
Oh yeah, that's fine. You're good.
And then number 4, the computer will read the script tag. 5, it's pulling the item posts from local storage and inputs it into the center console.
Yep.
Number 6, the const stored post equals the windows.local storage get item posts. The computer will get the item posts from local storage and put it into stored post. So
Mhm.
we'll get this item and then literally relocate it here.
Mhm.
Okay. This says let, which is
Just initializing it.
allowing, right? So this is it's a function, right?
Just it's a variable.
A variable. Okay. So, oh, gotcha. It makes a variable called posts. I even have it written down. I promise Doug helped me with this. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. I'm like, what? Okay, never mind. Which we will be using later, right?
Yep.
So if a stored post, so if the variable stored post has a value, then it's true.
Mhm.
Then we do this line.
Mhm.
And this line turns stored post and from JSON, from a JSON string into an object or an array.
Mhm.
This is the JSON parse,
Mhm.
and then puts that information into posts.
Which is the posts we set up on line 22.
Yes.
Cool.
So,
Yes.
perfect. Else, so if this is not true, if this doesn't have a value, right?
Mhm.
So if stored post does not have a value, then it's undefined, which results into false.
Mhm.
And then this part of posts equals square brackets, the post is an empty array.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're
Now-
understanding that either 9 will run or 11 will run, but
Yes.
not both of them.
Not both of them. So if this can't run, then this has to run. If this
Correct.
runs, then you don't have to have this run here.
You got it.
Okay, perfect. I'm like, I understand. Finally. I'm
It's
so excited.
almost like these projects are set up to make sure that you're learning all of JavaScript.
Almost, right? Almost. No, they're doing great. This is an awesome project. So this is also a variable. So generated HTML is set up as an empty string. So whenever you have double quotes, single quotes, or that little, is it a syntax? What is it?
Backtick.
Backtick, thank you. It's an empty string.
Mhm.
Okay. So now this says, if the post length is equal to 0, also known as if the posts array is empty. So if this is empty,
Mhm.
AKA this is 0, then we put the div into generated HTML.
Mhm.
And this is the div that we're putting.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that div is going up and replacing where it said loading in our initial HTML.
Yes. Here.
Yeah, 14, but yeah.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's replacing this.
Yes.
Gotcha. Should I make a comment on that?
Up to you. I mean, you're right. That put the div in the generated HTML. That is the right thing.
Okay. I will just confuse myself more. Okay. And then for each post of the posts, so that's how I understood it, right?
Mhm.
So for each item of the array, the item is the post, and the arrays is posts.
Mm-hmm.
Add the string div to generated HTML.
Mm-hmm.
So what Doug showed me, and maybe I missed this somehow because I don't know how I missed this, but generated HTML plus equals is the same thing as generated, is the same thing as generated HTML equals to generated HTML plus the div.
Correct.
Okay. I don't know how I missed, how, never mind. I'm kind of mad at myself. So
Well,
this means
I probably didn't cover that in class. I probably just started using plus equal, and there was one really quick free code camp assignment that was like plus equals, and then you forgot about it.
I totally forgot. I literally, it went pew over my head. I don't know why I didn't get it. And then here, then add the string to the generated HTML. So what you're doing is just generate HTML is equal to generated HTML plus this entire string.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's almost like we are providing a template for each post, which is why we are using a template literal.
Okay, gotcha. So we are providing a template for the post, and we're using the template literal to change the information onto these.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then this one, I had to work backwards. We put the generated HTML into an inner HTML from the get element ID posts that is in the DOM.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's not actually backwards. The computer always executes the right side of the equal before it executes the left side of the equal. It needs to know what it's going to put into the variable before it puts it into that variable.
Okay. Okay.
So you're not
sense.
thinking backwards. You're doing it in the order the computer is, which is what am I dealing with? What do you want me to store? Okay, now where do you want me to store it?
Gotcha. Okay.
Jennifer,
So
does
what do
this
you want
make
me to-
you feel less crazy?
Yeah, it does. I mean, some of what she just went through, thank you, Exona,
You're welcome.
made sense to me at the time. I really have some more work to do on like 31 down. But before that, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And that's why I give this assignment. Well, haven't posted it yet, but I promise I will. Because when you get to the end of it, when you get to the end of class on Thursday and you're like, it's all working, great, I'm done. It's like, whoa, slow your roll there. It's working, but do you really understand how it's working? And if you can get to this level, then you could, easily explain, oh, this is what this slide is doing, and I could redo this again because I get the general flow of, make the array, loop over the array, make the HTML, put the HTML into the DOM, right? This is explicitly listing out every step, but now that it's explicitly written, when you go to do it, you can do it almost implicitly. It's a lot easier for you to write the code because you've done it at that explicit level, step-by-step level.
And this makes sense. Posts, I only have a couple things on here. I will continue to work on this itself. I know exactly what I need to write down here, what every step is, and then continue to do the same thing for here. Cool. That's pretty much it. That's all I have. But I just wanted to say I do understand it now a lot better.
Good.
And I wanted to make sure that everything was up to par.
And remember, this one, you don't need to write out the step itself. You just have to number it. But if you want to write out the step, it's probably beneficial to do so.
I will, because my understanding is not at the level where I can just be like, oh, okay, so this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, without knowing what exactly it's doing. So once I get to that point, I will number it later on in future projects. But
and I just wanted to show you guys while I have you, this is not something that I just tell my students to do. I'm working on the advent of code, where they give you this like whole long couple paragraph explanation, and then they give you a puzzle input and you need to write code to solve the output. And so what I've been doing,
I have to go.
okay,
Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Back.
Bye.
See you soon.
sounds good. You'll see me tomorrow as well. I'll be in for capstone.
Right. Okay.
So I can show you, maybe I can show you. They basically give you this problem and they like tell you about Santa's, this is the right one. Santa's reindeers, and you have to keep track of the elves and what calories they have. And then they give you like a whole breakdown of this example file that looks like this. And you basically have to loop through everything and add up to find whatever elf has like the highest number of calories. And so this is like, you're working your way up to being able to complete a project like this, but you can see what I do. I leave my comments in here. I can say import file system from Node, right? Then I say read input file as a string. Then I say break it apart the file using new line delimiter into an iterable array. Then I go down to the next thing and I say for the first elf, start their total count at 0. Right? And then you can see, hey, I'm iterating through all lines here. So if the line has anything in it, now you can see I'm breaking down my if, and then it's an empty line. So a new elf is coming, consider that the next iteration of the loop. So you can see how I'm breaking down this code. And then at the end, I'm saying, hey, use this spread operator, which you might not be familiar with. So now you can be like, I don't know what a spread operator is. Let me go Google that to figure that out. And so you can see kind of how I break down my code to make it easier to read with those comments.
Perfect. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. That's good. And actually Mel sent me that on Slack. He's like, if you want more practice, here's this project. Here's this product. I was like, okay.
I sent, because Caitlin's doing it with me. And I sent her an emoji, and I was like, day 4, part 1, piece of cake. I wrote it in like 15 minutes, got the answer right on my first try, was like feeling good about myself, right? And then I got to part 2 and I sent her the boot and the peach emoji. Part 2 kicked my ass. I got the right answer finally and was so embarrassed by it that I spent another hour refactoring it to get it to the point that I was proud of. Like, I wrote the code and I'm like, I feel very dirty writing this code. Like, I feel like a teacher would give me like a D- on this, and I would have been like, well, it's not failing. Like, I got the right answer.
Right, it's working. Right.
And I just felt so slimy writing that code that I was like, no, Max, you need to do that better. No one is judging me on this code. It's not like I'm going to get a job offer here, but I normally get to like day 8 or 9 and I'm like, nope, can't do it anymore. This is way too hard for me. And we just got to day 4. So we'll see how long I last this year. I feel like that's such a good job interview. It's like, how far did you get in advent and code? And if they're like in double digits, I'm like, okay, you're hired. But they are really fun problems because you have to like, it's a lot like free code camp, but more story oriented. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. So it's more like understanding the story in order to understand the problem, in order to write out your algorithm to solve it. And the way the input is given to you, there's no way for you to like brute force it, right? Like some of these files are like 10,000 lines long, and there's just no way to like, you have to get the right answer by coding it out. And some of these people stay up until midnight when the problems drop and then solve it in like under 2 minutes. And I'm like, no, like, I never want to get to a superhuman programming level like that, where like someone could just write that out. I'm like, just nope. Like, it takes me probably 30 minutes to solve each part. And so it's fun, but it's different.
Yeah, no, I see. I mean, I can only imagine how long it would take us, and by us I mean me. If it takes you
Like
30
I said,
minutes.
it's a good challenge, and it's might be at the point where like you have my code up and then you just try and follow my code and make sure you're understanding it. And if you can get the right answer, then you're good to go, right? Like
Right.
the competition is based all off of the time of like the people who solve it at midnight. And I'm like, nope. I'm gonna lay in bed. I'm gonna, read the news. I'm gonna make my coffee. I'm gonna let the coffee sit in, and then I will solve it at like 10 a.m. I'm like,
Right.
I am not at that like stay up until midnight and get it solved kind of competition level.
Absolutely not. I mean, there's no need to do all of that.
Yes.
If you don't have to, you don't.
But
But no, that's
they
awesome.
are really fun.
No, that's good. I will attempt one, hopefully sometime.
And
But
I'll send you my answers because the fun part about it is that the problems and the data are given to you in a way that you can solve it using any language. So there
Okay.
are a couple local people that will probably be at OpenHack on Thursday that have shared their Git repos as well, and they're solving it in a language called Elixir. And it's really interesting for me to compare my code against their code and see like how they solved it. There are two people doing it in Elixir and there's one person doing it in Python. And then I'm sharing all of my answers in JavaScript. So it's really interesting to be like, oh, look, this language has a function built into it that I had to write by hand, or like, it's
Right.
just cool comparing the differences.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you gonna be at Open Hack this Thursday?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I'll be there. I also sat I was I scheduled to attend the Women's in Coding event
Cool.
on Saturday as well. So Karen, if you want to come, you should come. Saturday at 12:30 to 2.
I will see if I am able to
Attend.
participate. You said Saturday, I know that there's a link. You said 12:30 to 2?
Yes. So it's just a Woman in Code. And oddly enough, Nicole B, I forgot her last name, but her and I graduated. Yeah, her and I graduated from high school the same year.
Oh, nice.
From Nottingham. So when I saw her at the first Open Hack, I was like, is that Nicole? But yeah, I'm excited to attend.
She's a cohort 3 grad as well.
Oh, nice. No, not Nicole B. No. This is another Nicole.
Oh, okay.
So I work with that Nicole. I work with Nicole at the city.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
By the way, just so you know, there's 3. You're the one who said it, right? There's a person from each cohort.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah. So
and we're on track to do that at TCG Player because like word of mouth is getting so popular that like every cohort we have someone else from TCG Player who's wanting to get in. Zach graduated last year and he was like, here's a list of 9 names. Please give me their application status so I can go hound them if they have not completed it.
That is awesome. When are you guys, when is the application deadline?
It goes live, I want to say in January. As soon as it does, I will certainly announce it in class. We have a waiting list open. So like if you know of people, they can join the waiting list. And then they'll get an email as soon as it goes live. But we'll open it up, I think, in early January, and then that cohort doesn't start until yours is over. So it will be early April, I believe. Because we try and do like a week or 2 off in between to just get everything prepped. But yeah, that's our timeline.
That's awesome. No, I've already posted it online on my social medias multiple times, and I've had at least 20-30 messages to be like, oh, what is this? What are you doing? So I've sent them the link. I'm like, go sign up. Just go put your name on the wait list, and then they'll send you the email. Okay, thank you. So okay, cool. I just wanted to give them an update if they ask.
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so I will continue to work on this.
And if I forget, don't forget to plug that Women in Coding event at Open Hack on Thursday.
Okay,
Not only to other students, but like when we do the circle up and they ask, for local events going on,
mhm.
throw that one out there. Just because
Yep.
you don't need to be the organizer to announce like the event.
No, I've already posted it on the students only channel, I think,
Cool.
on there. And so everyone should have gotten it on our end, but yeah, I'll
Cool.
definitely do that.
Cool.
All right, perfect. You guys have a great night, and I will continue to work on this code.
Thank you.
Good luck. I'll
Bye.
see you guys.
Bye.